came to America, we were living in the east by the Nile River, living in luxury, enjoying freedom, justice, and equality. We wore silken robes and slippers of gold. We were the wealthiest and the wisest people, I'm told. Now we are the poorest of the poor. Nobody wants us at their door. So my friend, it's easy to tell, white man heaven is a black man hell.
Either call y'all, it's easy to tell, white man heaven is a black man hell.
So the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that Master Farad Muhammad said 6 words to us, and these were the 6 most powerful words that he spoke. He said, accept your own and be yourself. Accept your own. The Caucasians who brought our fathers into slavery desired to take us away from our own people, our own culture, our own religion, our own God, our own language. So we have grown up in America away from our own mind, away from our own selves, and so we have been actually indoctrinated with an alien mentality.
10,000 fearless men, because we're going to have to challenge the things that are destroying our community. Sure. So this ain't no punk time. This ain't no temple time, mosque time, or church time. All the singing and shouting and preaching is over. Get in them streets now, block by block. We're going to have to clean it up. The airwaves is not enough. The television screen is not enough. You got to put boots on the ground who are trained and are willing to make the sacrifice of life itself to see our community made a decent place to live.
Attention. Drill.
Soldiering is a part of the Nation of Islam, and it readies all of us to obey the commands of God. Now some will ask, well, why military drill? Because this is what produces the camaraderie.
Facebook and Instagram thought that they could ban the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan.
But in reality, they can't, because he already lives in us and millions of others.
قل أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين.
In the name of Allah, Master Fard Muhammad, the one true and living God, to whom praise is due forever, I bear witness that there is no God but Allah and that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is his messenger. Peace, family, and welcome back to another wonderful episode of WHID-FM. WHID-FM is your personal platform where those of us striving to follow the life-giving, life-saving teachings of the most Honorable Elijah Muhammad as given to us by his premier pupil, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, gather right here in this virtual meeting place to answer that most critical question: what has Islam done for me? Tonight it is Sunday, December 21st, and at this time we're going to turn it over to our dynamic co-host, Sister Janine Muhammad, who is a superstar student here in the ministry at Muhammad Mosque number 6 under the leadership of our beloved brother, student Imam Abdul Salam Muhammad. Sister Janine.
Assalamu alaikum, family, and thank you again for joining us for another wonderful episode of WHID-FM. We thank you for tuning in each and every week to hear the stories from our various guests about what Islam has done and continuing to do for them. Tonight, I'm going to introduce our guest tonight, who is Sister Shawntell. Sister Shawntell, she's an advocate for healthy eating and living for over 25 years, based on the How to Eat to Live teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. She provides personal services such as holistic grocery shopping tours and writes articles based on health and nutrition, all rooted in How to Eat to Live. Sister Shawntell has been an active member of the Ministry of Health and Human Services since 2008 and is currently serving her nation in the role of student secretary. Our wonderful sister continues faithfully serving the Nation of Islam at its Chicago headquarters in Mosque Mariam. So we'd like to welcome our dear sister on tonight. Assalamu alaikum, family.
Wa alaikum salam.
Thank you for joining us this evening and coming on to the show to share your story with us. Now, when we get started, we like to get a background on our guests. So can you tell us, how were you introduced to these teachings and what made you say the Nation of Islam is for me?
Yes, ma'am. Well, I was actually born and raised into the Nation of Islam. My father was 5 years old when his mother joined the Nation of Islam. And I became a registered member of the Nation of Islam in 1997.
Yes, ma'am. Praise be to Allah. Now, being in the nation since 1997, I know you probably seen so much and had so many joyous moments of being in the Nation of Islam. So for our audience who are just not familiar with the Nation of Islam, can you tell us what makes you love Islam so much?
Well, it definitely sets us apart from, I believe, everyone else, everyone outside of other Black people, but definitely even within the culture here in America, you can always tell a Muslim brother or sister in the Nation of Islam, even if we don't have on our garments or suit and bow tie. Like if you're in a grocery store, just I believe our energy, the way we carry ourselves in a civilized manner, attracts people to us because there's just something different about us.
Yes, ma'am. Praise be to Allah. Now, just to navigate a little bit into your career, now you help people with holistic grocery shopping tours and you write articles in health. So a lot of times people can be geared to so many things as far as their career, whether it's real estate, whether it's health, whether it's other fields. What made you so attracted to the holistic field?
Well, growing up, I spent quite a bit of time with my grandmother, my father's mother. By profession, she was a registered nurse. She was also emergency captain. And so she was really into natural health and how to eat to live. Growing up, we had an herbalist. So my mother would call our herbalist over to the house if my sister or I got sick. And so just going out with my grandmother, visiting her patients with her, and even going out with our herbalist and seeing the both of them in their elements, talking about healing holistically with herbs or food and fasting, that did drop. They definitely dropped seeds And then from a personal experience, medical experiences I had, dealing with sickle cell trait, I still had, episodes. And the last major episode I had sent me running to How to Eat to Live. And so it's been over 30 years since I had a sickle cell episode.
Wow, praise be to Allah. Now, continuing on that track, with Western medicine, they tend to look down on the holistic methods, and you hear a lot of people try to go against it. So, what is some of the misunderstandings you think people have about the holistic field, and why is it so important for us to get to know about the holistic field and use that as an option?
Well, I know as far as like your everyday person, people in our community specifically, we are been trained to the food pyramid, call a doctor. Um, and so when it comes to holistic health or just basically just eating naturally, um, we've been trained to shun those things because it didn't come from one of their doctors. Because if one of those doctors suggested these things, then our people would be more open to hearing at least to what they have to say about natural living. Like today, you have what you call integrative doctors, and what that is, they do deal with Western medicine, and they also deal with holistic medicine.
Hmm.
And so a lot of the Western doctors, they do know that the science is right and exact. They do know that fasting is the cure, as it says in How to Live. 90% of our illness, they know these things. However, it's going to hit them in their pocketbook. They're not going to make any money if we're all healthy. So, so it all comes down to dollars.
Yes, ma'am. And going into holistic grocery shopping, like what inspired you to start doing that?
Well, when you're having a conversation with someone, just a regular conversation, excuse me, it could be with a family member, it could be with a friend or a stranger, a coworker, and we're talking about health, we're talking about food. They automatically think that it costs too much. That's number one. And then another thing is, oh, that tastes nasty, or they don't know how to prepare it. So, based on a person's personal budget, we go to the grocery store and we go aisle by aisle, and I'm showing people the ingredients that's in each food, because anything that's in a carton, a box, a package, it has a label. And you need to read that label and not just look for pork. We had to
Mhm.
look at all these chemicals that we could barely pronounce. And since today we have modern technology, the large majority of us have phones. So before you leave the store, we're gonna go into our phones and search what are these things on the ingredient list. So that's what we do. So, and also comparing um, one product, like this store may charge $5 for a product, and then another store that same product, yes, it may cost a little less. However, in the long run, you may save a few bucks at the cash register, yes, but your health is going to pay for it at the end, and that's priceless.
Yes, ma'am. That's true. Now, when it comes to the holistic grocery shopping and that full experience, do you find there's a common food that a lot of people get that seems to be common, but is really kind of not good for you and just bad for your health generally?
I'm I'm gonna lean towards kale. Okay, so we've all been inundated
Yes.
relentlessly with kale being pushed on us, especially like during the summer. They're like, okay, you can throw kale in your smoothies after a workout, have kale juice, kale this. However, that kale is destroying your thyroid. completely destroying it. So you have these people, they genuinely want to be healthy. So they believe that, they work out, great. They eat more fruit and vegetables, also great. However, because of I'm not even gonna say misinformation, just straight up lies that's being thrust upon us. Kale is destroying our thyroid. So you're doing all this work, but you're not seeing the results as you would like to see because your thyroid is not functioning properly because of this kale.
Wow. Wow. Thank you for that. Because I know I've heard a lot about it. I know we're not supposed to eat kale, so it doesn't faze me, but I know it's a lot of people, kale in their smoothies, kale in their salads, and it used to be a decorative thing I saw when I was younger, and now
Yes.
it's in everything. So yes, ma'am. Thank you for making us aware of that. It is actually a question in the chat, so I don't want to miss our audience question. So I'll ask the question in the chat now. It says, "Assalamu alaikum, family." It says, "I'd love to hear more about your journey with sickle cell, the symptoms you experienced before How to Eat to Live, and how long it took to feel positive effects after being consistent."
Wa alaikum salam. Yes, ma'am. Well, everyone is different. Please take note of that. Everyone is different. So you're gonna have different, symptoms. You're gonna have different positive feedback at different times. For me personally, my symptoms, like I said, it was sickle cell trait. Um, I can be fine one day, like completely fine, and then the next day, I'm like totally in severe, indescribable pain.
Wow.
The pain can strike anywhere from my stomach, or all over my body, and it was really bad. Like at that time in the 90s, the only thing they gave was at the hospital was the most potent form of pain medication, and that
Mm.
was it. And the last symptom I had before I turned completely to How to Eat to Live was, excuse me, urinating blood. That was the last symptom, and I
Wow.
didn't want to be on dialysis, so I completely just 100% How to Eat to Live. Um, that meant no more microwaves. I haven't used a microwave in over 30 years. No more meat. Haven't had meat in over 30 years. That includes fish. And I've been doing a lot better with sugar. So now sugar is maybe once or twice a week now.
Wow.
And as
Praise.
far as how long it took to feel positive effects, it actually wasn't long. It wasn't long because I
Wow.
was going to the emergency room once a month from sickle cell symptoms.
Wow. Praise be to Allah. That, yeah, I'm happy you haven't seen a symptom in so long. And
Yes, ma'am.
have you looked into, I'm not sure, so I apologize if my lack of knowing, but is there
Okay.
any science with, Navy Bean and that? Have you looked into Navy Bean and how that relates to illness? And if so, what have you seen as far as that?
Okay, let me make sure I understand your question. Are you asking how the navy bean helps with healing
Help with any
illness?
healing? Have you looked into how the Navy Beans help in healing?
I have not looked into the healing powers of navy beans per se. I know like just base information as far as it containing iron, zinc, protein, starches, things of that nature, but specifically um, healing certain ailments. No, ma'am, I have not looked into that.
Yes, ma'am. And as far as before my next question, before I turn it over to Brother West, so the articles that you present, what do you find yourself writing about the most when it comes to health? Besides, the holistic grocery shopping, what are you passionate about writing when it comes to the health field?
I have written articles on soy. I've written articles on cigarette smoking, things that affect us every day, our everyday living. Like for instance, I'm gonna go back to smoking. We think of smoking as just um, having an effect on the actual smoker and not even thinking about third hand smoke.
Mm.
And what that is like someone goes outside, you're at work and they go outside for a cigarette break. They come back in, the cigarette smell is all over their clothes, their hair, their whole being. And that affects other people. You can actually get sick just from inhaling those toxins. And that's called smoke, third hand smoke. And just walking into a room after someone been in there smoking, but you're inhaling those toxins. Um, Another thing. So I just like to look at things that affect us as a people collectively, heavily, and I like to focus on that because things that a lot of people don't even understand or realize that is wreaking havoc on them. They think it's okay. Like they don't understand. A lot of people don't understand. They're like, well, what's wrong with eating fried chicken?
Mm.
They don't understand that that fried chicken is really destroying your kidneys.
Wow.
So
Well, I know you hurt a lot of people's feelings with that. But with that, but thank you for that. We need to hear it, sis. At this time, I'll go ahead and turn it over to Brother West. I'm sure he has some questions for you. So, Brother West, I'll go ahead and turn it over to you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. All right. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, and that Muhammad is his messenger. Assalamu alaikum, Sister Shawntell.
Walaikum salam.
Praise be to Allah. So it's great having you on tonight.
Thank
My
you.
first question for you, I know that Sister Janine asked you a little bit about the phone call, but I wanted to know if you can share how exactly you became a writer for the phone call newspaper, and if you were encouraged by a fellow believer, or have you always just had a passion for writing?
You know, in high school, one of my favorite subjects in high school was English. And I always grew up reading. I was an avid reader. And then in school, I loved English. I loved going to English class. And fast forward to 1997, I was at home and the news came on. And there was a news story about a, a brother who's a black college student. His name was Malcolm Boyd. And he was not from our area. He was going to college. He was not from our area. So he didn't know the politics or the culture at that time regarding blacks and whites. So he didn't know that black people didn't go to Clovis, California at nighttime. It was a sundown town. And Fresno and Clovis, like right next door to each other. But we knew we don't go to Clovis at night. He went to Clovis at nighttime, and skinheads got a hold of him and beat him down into a coma with a pipe. And I watched that news, and it just something clicked, and I wanted to just let what was happening in our area be known. So I got in contact with the Final Call newspaper. Brother James was the editor at the time. I spoke with him, and he walked me through how to interview people, how to write it, and and I wrote it with his guidance. And ever since then, I've been writing from multiple stories, from things of that nature to Gaza protests to health to you name it. Now I'm writing on multiple subjects, but that's how I started writing, watching the news, um, and seeing his brother beat into a coma because he didn't know that that was a sundown town.
Praise be to Allah. That's an amazing story. That's actually a very interesting way to get into writing. I'm happy you shared that with us for sure. My next question for you, going back to, I guess, just being in the Nation of Islam in general, like building that family, that community, what would you say is the best advice given to you by a fellow believer if you had to just pick one? Or it could be a few, but what comes to mind when you think of that? The best advice you've been given by a fellow believer.
That's advice just in general or pertaining to a certain subject?
It can be just in general throughout your journey
Okay.
in Islam. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I want to say there was a sister. It wasn't advice just to me. It was a group of us, and she did state that we have to give people grace, and like your fellow um, believer, and just people in general, grace because you really don't know what people are going through, and so and what that means is like you come across someone and you're like, oh my God, they rude or they got a bad attitude. However, you don't know what that person is facing. Not excusing that behavior, but just acknowledging that person could very well be going through a hard time. And you don't have to go go back and forth or argue or as they say today, match that energy because you just never know. You have to show people grace because all of us, will want someone to show us grace.
Absolutely, yes, ma'am. I think that's really important, especially today, for sure.
Yes.
And next, if you had to pick one out of, your years in the Nation of Islam, I know it's been a wonderful journey. What would you say is your most memorable experience as an MGT now? It can be like a Savior's Day, it could be just a time at the mosque or even during some community service. But if you had to pick your best experience thus far.
Wow, that's a great question.
Thank you.
I would say it was 2012. In 2012, um, I had walked out of my apartment building into the courtyard. It's here in Chicago. And just standing there was student minister, Sister Ava Muhammad. What? I mean, this is early in the morning in my courtyard of, and so her and we had a brief conversation. That was the first time I ever had a conversation with her, and she was really nice, very pleasant, and I'll never forget that moment because I just was not expecting that at all. May Allah be pleased with her. But yeah, I would say that was my best experience thus far.
All praises due to Allah. That's wonderful. Sister Ava, definitely may
Yeah.
Allah be pleased with her. We thank her for a wonderful contribution. Absolutely. My next question for you. When you're not writing an article for the Final Call newspaper, if you're not teaching on how to eat to live, or even like studying at the mosque, I was just curious, what are some things that you do to enjoy some of your spare time?
Okay, this may come off as odd, but I really really enjoy classic cars, 1960s cars. Oh gosh, I love I like looking at them on Pinterest, on Facebook, during the summer, like going to car shows, old school car shows, um, and yeah, and oh, I like watching boxing. Yeah.
Yes, man, for sure. And with that, we're going to turn it over to Brother Jamal for some of his questions.
Yes, sir. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, I believe there is no God but Allah, and Muhammad is his messenger. Assalamu alaikum, Sister Shawntell.
Walaikum salam.
All right, to get started. So my first question is a nation question. What keeps you motivated to serve the nation year after year?
Another great question. Just seeing our people suffering when they don't have to. Not they don't always have to. Some things, you just can't avoid. But the things that we can have control over, such as what we eat, what we drink, what we put on our bodies, we can control those things. And so that is a huge motivation for me. Um, I have 5 children, I have 4 grandchildren, and so of course, there are definitely motivators. However, as a whole, our people as a whole, that's what motivates me. Um, Even if I can just help one person, that would be enough.
Yes, ma'am. That's a good answer. I actually like how you said that you wanted to motivate people and you love and how you love our people, and that's what keeps you that's one of the things that keeps you here and stable in the Nation of Islam. And my
Right.
next question is how do you see actually the Ministry of Health and Human Services as you are in it evolving in the future in the Nation of Islam?
Yes, sir. I do. Um, I see us. This is not in the plans. It's just again something that I I can see. Um, Maybe a wellness center, and definitely, we're in an age of technology, so offering some online, services, some kind of way through the app, through website, social media, just something, because everyone is not going to be able to, wherever this wellness center will be, it's going to be in one place. So, so if we can use technology to get as many people as possible from their homes or wherever they're at, that'd be wonderful. That'd be wonderful. And utilizing Western medicine and holistic medicine because it's all needed.
Yes, ma'am. That's a good thing to do. Having a wellness center and having technology be involved in that, and
Yes,
so it can improve our nation. And this is what we actually want to do in our nation. And that's it's glad that you brought that up. And
yes,
so
sir.
my
Oh, and also we are recruiting youth. So yes, please, you don't have to be a nurse or a doctor. Anyone can, well, but you do need a CPR card, which is vital. Um, but yeah, you can contact me. I can send the application to you. So,
Yes, ma'am. We're gonna get your contact information actually before the show. If you have anything to add, we're gonna get your contact information. And actually, speaking on to youth, what would you what advice would you give to new members seeking to serve the Nation of Islam, or like especially members that are younger and or older in age, any age?
mhm. Well, I would say you definitely need to make sure that however, whatever capacity you choose to serve, just make sure that this is definitely something you want to do. Um, Everything does not have to be monetary because you're going to be rewarded in other ways if that's what you're looking for. Um, and just keep a pure heart. Don't have any motives or agendas. If you want to help, out of the kindness of your heart, this is what Allah, guided you to. All praise you to Allah. That's what we need.
Yes, ma'am. And another question I have is what lessons have you learned about either leadership and consistency winning the nation?
what lessons have, I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Oh, what lessons have you learned about in the nation? What lessons have you learned about being a leader or being consistent in the nation?
You have to be extremely mindful that the Nation of Islam, we attract all kinds of people. We attract all kinds of people, and that means we attract those that may have some deeper healing that needs to take place, and we have to always keep that in the forefront of our minds. That so you have to be very careful of the instructions or things that you say. Like, okay, for instance, you're on social media and you're posting some information that makes you a leader because you have friends or followers. So you have to be very careful, be very mindful because some people, they're not going to do further research. They're going to just hang on to what you presented. And if something goes wrong because what they believe you instructed them to do, then you don't want that to weigh on you.
Yes, man, that's a good answer, and I actually like that because you don't want the stuff in the nation like to weigh on you if you're not consistent, as you've been saying. Yes, ma'am. And actually, the my second to last question before we pass it on to Sister Louisa, how do you actually my fault. How do you envision the role of holistic health evolving in our communities over like the next decade or so?
In our community, um, because of the overwhelming chronic illnesses we suffer from, yet the lacking the financial means to properly deal with these chronic illnesses, more people are turning towards um, natural ways. You have a lot more people growing food. You have a lot more people inquiring online about herbs, about natural healing. That was another way. I don't know if you all were aware, but if you look on Google and even on YouTube, it's been scrubbed of a lot of information pertaining to natural health. That means it's a lot of people turning from American Medical Association to back to the way we used to do things, which is natural living.
Oh, and I have another question about that. So, is why do you think it is the way of why is it getting scrubbed off that the ways of natural healing, or why do you think um there's less information out there about less natural healing, or just why is it getting hidden?
Well, because when people are healing themselves or going to someone that can heal them for much less money than going to a doctor or a hospital, and this is a multi-billion-dollar industry, you're putting a dent in their cash flow. You can't have that. So when you can control the way someone thinks, and then in their minds, they have very limited ways of doing things because unfortunately, even today, people are still not going further, doing deeper research. Because, like, okay, if you can't find it online, there's still bookstores around. Go to the bookstore. There's lots of books on holistic living.
Right. There should be no excuse to get the information to actually be
Exactly.
healthy. Yes, yes, ma'am. And my last question is before we pass it on to Sister Louisa, is more of a personal question. I always try to ask, what legacy would you like to leave in your life for people or in the nation? It could be in the nation, for your life, or for people along the way, and for yourself. What legacy would you like to leave in the future?
Uh, Putting health as a priority, making health top priority. And oh gosh, I don't want to sound like an auntie, but even if you are in your teens, your 20s, your 30s, you have to take your health serious. Nothing happens overnight. A lot of times, what happens in someone's 40s or 50s, that was a buildup from 20s and 30s. So, but you know what? Today, you don't have to wait till you're in your 40s or 50s. There's people in their 20s and 30s having strokes. There's people in their 20s and 30s being diagnosed with cancer. So we all, no matter the age, we all have to take our health serious on all levels.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for that. And is your passion. I thank you for your passion on health and actually wanting people to get better. And I love the questions I asked and the questions you answered for me,
Thank
and I
you.
learned a lot more about it. So thank you for answering my questions. And now I'm gonna pass it on to Sister Louita, who's gonna ask you more questions herself. Sister Louita.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
How you doing? You feeling good now?
Yes, ma'am.
That's,
You all made me feel very comfortable. Thank you.
oh, you're welcome. That's really good. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, that Muhammad is his messenger. I wanted to ask a question concerning rheumatoid arthritis and what is its connection with processed foods? Does it contribute to inflammation? How could you serve people with that health issue?
Rheumatoid arthritis, that is inflammation, yes.
Yes,
And most processed foods has some form of sugar in it. Most of it does.
mm,
And that sugar is, I want to say, a number one trigger for inflammation.
mm,
And also, you do have all those other chemicals that make up ultra processed foods.
mm.
So that's just a general synopsis. Um, right now, I'm not able to give you like a great detail, but definitely, well, one, just we're gonna have to get away from the ultra processed food.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and again, limitation of sugar.
Thank you so much. So when you take your customers or your clients and do the grocery tours, you teach them how to grocery shop
Yes,
and
ma'am.
ingredients. Um, what about them looking up the ingredients to see what they mean and what the side effects are? I'm asking that because I was talking to someone on the phone some time ago, and they had an alternate drink. They were used to drinking ginger ale. They changed the drink. And when we were looking up the ingredients, I said, now we need to know the side effects. So you really have to dig deep into it. Would you agree with your
Yes, ma'am.
grocery shopping with them?
Yes, ma'am. So we will look up this ingredient. Let's just say it's dextrose. It's in a lot of things.
Yes.
And this person is like, oh no, I don't do sugar. They're very staunch on that stance. I'm like,
Mhm.
you sure? So 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 let's look this up.
Mhm.
Sure enough, dextrose is sugar.
Wow.
So yes, yes, ma'am. And so you can some people want to just stop right there once they find out what it is, and then later on they'll do the research on um the adverse health effects.
Hmm.
But yeah, it's crazy how here in America you go to a grocery store and it's food like products. These things don't even they don't exist in nature. So I hate to call it food.
Yeah, that's true. That's a really good point, sister. That's a very
Yes,
good
ma'am.
point.
Yes, ma'am. And the things that these people are doing, it should you would think it would be a crime. They could be prosecuted because one, you are misleading people.
Mm-hmm.
You're not being forthright with people with exactly what you're eating.
Mm-hmm.
So, like for instance, as Muslims, we don't eat pork, correct?
Right, that's correct.
So, if you're in a grocery store or you're in a restaurant and you order a chicken breast, you thinking, okay, it's a chicken breast.
Mm-hmm.
No, ma'am. So what they do is they have this meat glue,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a mixture of pig and cow hemoglobin,
Mm-hmm.
and they take scraps of chicken, glue the scraps together, put it in a freezer. Then between 8 to 24 hours later, you have chicken breast. I went on Amazon. I was able to find some meat glue that they say was all beef. So I did that experiment. I chopped up a chicken breast, made it into scraps, put the glue on, put it in the freezer. The next day we had chicken breast.
Shut up. Wow.
Yeah,
I've heard of meat glue, but the way you just explained it,
it's real. hmm I got off Amazon $20.
wow. Something that you said, if I can go back to one of the questions that you answered when you were talking about Malcolm Boyd, right? Am I saying his name?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
And it made me think about our people and how the enemy does not treat us right. Do you find that we're so trusting that in our mind we think that he will teach us right? What is the struggle that you have sometimes, or the resistance with some of your clients in trying to change that, mindset?
You know, with that resistance, it's deeply rooted on different levels because starting from preschool, like I said earlier, you're taught about the food pyramid,
Mm-hmm.
and then the whole going to the doctor to get these shots and everything the doctor say, that's law. It's like almost like a law school. So and it's just reinforced at all times.
Mm.
And then on the flip side, you have mom or grandmother. They how they cook up the meal.
Mm.
It's tasting good.
Mm-hmm.
And you have that. Well, this is tradition. This is what we've been doing.
Right,
and
right.
and I don't get sick or we live to be such and such age. So you coming from both sides. You got it from family. You got it from outside. But then when you can finally get them to see the flaw in that thinking and the way we've been doing things, is an eye opener. And now to like when I became vegetarian in the 90s, that was rough because we had very limited options.
Mm-hmm.
You had to know how to cook some vegetables up. You had to know how to move around the kitchen. But today you do have options, and I do not endorse most of these options because that is a lot of junk also.
Yeah.
Like the fake meat. A lot of those are the large majority, if not all, those are chemicals that we
Mm-hmm.
should not be eating.
Wow.
So so that's another thing. So in order to get people to see that what we've been doing for all these years, it's not good for us. Yeah, grandma, she know how to make a good peach cobbler, but we shouldn't eat peach cobbler. It's not good. First of all, it's nothing but sugar. We shouldn't eat cooked fruit. That's not eat to live. You didn't cook all the enzymes up out of it. So,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
so, so there is no nutrition in this thing, but it tastes good. So we
It does
have to look
good.
beyond taste.
That's not wrong
I
with
know.
that
I'm
little
going back. I'm
girl.
going back to what I like. So, yeah, peach cobbler. So, So, and then today, what I see, we have to show people that there is a healthy alternative. I haven't that there is no healthy alternative to peach cobbler. It's just what it is. Can't eat it. But other things like brown rice, you don't have to have the white rice. Eat brown rice.
Mm-hmm. When you was talking, it made me think about a couple of things. Things being hereditary. You hear that a lot. I don't know if I agree with that always. If we're
hereditary, it's habits passed down.
Right. Exactly.
So like if you grew up watching your mom do something a certain way all these years, then just by second nature, you're going to end up doing it.
Right.
And so, because I don't know about you, but I've heard a lot of people, they're like, oh my God, I'm acting just like my mom. So,
the old
so, so we have to really be conscious of everything that we do and say and eat and drink. I don't know about Kool-Aid generation. So my children never tasted Kool-Aid, but
are you a part of the Kool-Aid generation?
Part of the Kool-Aid generation. I know that. Red flavor. Red flavor.
The grape and okay. So that is so true. And you're doing the same things that were modeled to you, and they ask you the question, or they'll tell you that I know an older gentleman that he was in his 80s and they said he had the insides of a 30-year-old man, but a lot of his siblings legs are amputated from diabetes, toes and things like that. So it just made me question. That's why I wanted to get your feedback on, why does the enemy tell us, that this is hereditary instead of looking into the facts and the science?
You know what? That's to me, I have to use an old school term, tricknology. Mm-hmm. Because if you believe, oh, this is hereditary, so no matter what I do, I'm gonna end up with it. So you're gonna continue to eat the same thing.
That's true.
And continue to go to his doctor, give him your money. That's marketing. Keeping a customer.
That's so true. Because the money is in treating the symptom, it's not in solving the problem.
Exactly.
My last question to you, sis, is how important is it for our people to understand the value of simplicity?
Value of simplicity?
Simplicity, just simple foods. We always have to do the most.
Well, those of us in the nation, we go back to how to live. The messenger told us a simple food would keep us here a long time. Simple food. But the bean soup is simple. Yeah. It used to be. Mm-hmm. It depends on what region you're in nowadays. But if you follow the original recipe, it's a simple food. And it's so satisfying. And you'll see that you actually will save, at the cash register. People complain about the price of food today. Not if you keep it simple.
Absolutely.
Did you know if you purchase organic heavy whipping cream and put it in your blender on low and just pulse it and then put it through a cheesecloth, strain it through a cheesecloth, scrape it into a bowl or whatever, some type of dish, put it in the refrigerator, you have butter. So, things like that. Find ways to save money. I made yogurt. I'm so angry because all these years I'm spending all this money on this yogurt and I could have been making it.
Yes.
And it's so simple.
Wow. I said that was going to be my last question. I'm starting to sound like Brother Jamal now.
It's okay.
When you think about the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad and How to Eat to Live, you know, he was solving a problem by preventing one, right? Knowing about our finances and economics, the Navy bean. And I've just been doing vegetables lately, just real simple, you know, getting full fast. I'm somebody that likes to eat. So I was a little disappointed I was getting full fast because I wanted to have some more to eat. But I do agree with simplicity. It makes a huge difference in how you feel and everything.
Yes,
So,
ma'am, it does.
are your clients able to see the difference? The ones that stick with your guidance and direction, are they bearing witness to How to Eat to Live unknowingly, maybe?
You know, I don't hide the fact that I'm a Muslim in the Nation of Islam, and this book, How to Eat to Live, is this is our foundation. So everyone knows that, black, white, whoever, they all know. And it's so interesting because the white women from this yoga studio that I attended, this is before COVID, we went to Whole Foods as a group, and they were like, well, how's Minister Farrakhan? You know, they were seemed pretty interested in how he was doing. And one lady, she had a problem with losing weight. She was doing yoga, exercise, drank nothing but water, weight wouldn't budge. So I'm like, let's get off the kale. Let's try getting off the kale. She got off the kale and her weight dropped.
Wow. So she had to, well, I don't know what the resistance was. It doesn't sound like it was a lot of resistance with her.
Not from her.
Right.
On the flip side,
you're right.
With us,
right.
Getting someone, I don't know, it's like, maybe because everyone shouldn't have to go to the extreme like I did with sickle cell trait symptom.
Yes, ma'am.
Urinating blood.
Yes, ma'am.
But if you don't have it, if you're not at that level, I guess you're not getting off that meat. You know, it's gonna be a fight.
Yes.
So, so I'm sitting here digging this up, digging that up, and then when I showed them that meat glue, a lot of them went cold turkey.
I know.
And they do that with the fish also. So any meat protein, they put that meat glue in.
Wow. Even if they say it's organic chicken.
Not the organic, no ma'am.
Okay.
Not the organic. Any type of meat, not just chicken. Any type of meat, as long as it's organic.
All right. Yes.
Just like your spices, your spices are irradiated. They go through irradiation. They say it's to kill bacteria. But if it's organic, no, they don't put it through irradiation. They just use steam. They use really hot water. It's a steam, and that kills everything.
Wow.
So, yeah, they always try to justify their madness. So
thank you so much.
Yeah, so we have to look into every single thing that they present to us. Everything.
Whenever the devil brings you news, right? Look carefully at it.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. No, thank you. You're doing a wonderful job. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
My dear sister, I will turn it back over to Brother West, I believe. Would that be okay, Brother West?
Yes, ma'am. All right, dear family, we want to take this time to just thank you for tuning in and listening to WHID-FM. We thank you for spending your valuable time because, of course, without you, there is no WHID-FM. If you have any suggestions, please feel free to give us an email at WHID1919@gmail.com. Also, definitely subscribe to us on YouTube and follow us on Facebook if you haven't already. And next week, our guest will be, inshallah, Brother Bilal from Little Rock, Arkansas. So, family, make sure you tune in for another wonderful episode right back here on WHID-FM. Praise be to Allah. And with that, we're going to turn it over to Sister Janine, I believe.
Sir, thank you, Brother West. My next question I just want to say you truly turned my stomach with this glue. As soon as you said it was on Amazon, I went searching and I'm like, wow. So
yeah,
I was like,
it's
wow,
called Move Glue on Amazon.
Yeah, I
it's
saw
Move Glue.
it. And for a while I've been saying, I need to get off chicken, and it's it's a little. When you said fried chicken, I was like, I know, and I know it's a little hard, but I'm like, when I saw the Moo Glue, I'm like, this is it turned my stomach, so I had to get off and fast a little faster.
But have you ever heard of Hearts of Palm?
I heard of it. I've heard people that are vegan talk about it, but I have never tasted it.
Okay, now if you take Hearts of Palm, make sure it's in a glass jar. Even if it's in a can jar, just make sure that it's BPA free. But Hearts of Palm is a root vegetable, and I use that as quote unquote fish. And I do it up just like you would any other fish, and it tastes good.
Wow. Okay, I've heard people talk about it, but I'm gonna try it.
And I am not vegan. I do not promote veganism. We are not vegans in the Nation of Islam. We're vegetarians, not vegans.
Yes, ma'am. Praise be to Allah. Thank you for that, because I hear about different things in the processed food, and I started realizing not too long ago that they're doing it with the fish. And I've actually bought salmon one time, and you let it thaw out, and I was like, why is the salmon separating like this? And this was from it was like it was from a reputable spot, like an actual farm, and the fish came with bones as usual, but this time it just started peeling off, and I was like, something's not right about this salmon. So it made me think, if they're doing it with chicken, then now they're probably
with all any animal protein. They do it with all animal protein.
Wow. So I guess that's really the key with all these recalls that's happening. It's really telling us that now we got to pay attention a little bit more to how to eat to live.
That's
so
right.
Definitely thank you for that. And I wanted to turn a little bit about your articles, because if you look up the different articles you wrote, it's such a variety. You wrote on the weather, you wrote on the vape pens, you wrote on what was happening in Gaza, and of course still happening. So out of all the articles that you have written so far, is there any that stands out that impacted you the most, that it kind of set on your spirit for a while?
Actually, it was two of them actually. One that was in a final call about smoking, and when I go into the third hand smoke, and also talks about vaping also in that one. This latest article about smoking. That one, because there's so many young people, they think, oh well, I'm not inhaling, I'm not smoking, I'm vaping, and it's destroying your lungs. In the Ministry of Health, I talked to a lot of doctors and nurses, and they're seeing a lot of young people seriously damaged from these vapors, whatever it's called. And also another article I wrote on our hair. A lot of us believe that they don't know anything about Annie Malone. They just know about Madam C.J. Walker. She stole Annie Malone's entire business idea, just slapped her name on it. So, and it also goes into the importance of embracing our natural hair. So, and the history. I mean, I really like those two articles. So the smoking and the hair.
Hmm. Now, speaking of the hair, I know I wrote, I read an article some time back about the dangers of the braiding hair that affects our women. And I know, that can be a sensitive topic, for women out there that may say, well, it's so hard to manage, my hair. I'm always on the go. So sometimes braid and or, weaves may be the option for me. So have you looked into that particular article, and what have you found that's most surprising about just us and how Black women in particular, how we deal with our hair?
Just like with food, like you hear a lot of women say, well, I'm gonna go. I'm too busy to cook. I'm too busy to be looking up these ingredients. Same thing. We've been led to believe that we're not pretty or professional or acceptable if our hair is not stringy. And that is not the truth. That is not the case. Um, and they are using these excuses to not delve deeper into why they are choosing to look like something that they're not. Myself, I do wear braids. Um, I wear braids at this time because yeah, it's easy for me to manage. I don't have to deal with it every day. These are braids, and when I hear your question, I'm thinking weaves or wigs or sew-ins or whatnot.
Yes, ma'am. Praise be to Allah. Now, I want to go into the articles that you wrote about October 7th and then just been happening with Gaza. I know from your article, there's been a lot of protests in Chicago about that. What have you found that has, for lack of better words, really got people to say, I want to protest about this? Because you hear about things that happens overseas and across the world. We've heard it a lot growing up on the news, and sometimes people don't really pay that much attention. But now there seems like there's a charge amongst people that people now want to take action and speak out against it. In your articles that you wrote and in your interviews and in your research, what has contributed to that?
You know what? There was a huge protest back in the summer during a DNC convention, and I was out there talking to people, and it's so sad because it's a very, very small percentage were there or have been active in these protests because they have family over there, or even the ones that didn't have family over there directly. These are still their people, and they have a genuine interest about what's going on over there. But for the large majority, they had no idea why they were out there. Some of them were paid to be out there. They told me, oh, yeah, I was just told to come out here, hold this flag, hold this card, and, they got compensated. So,
Wow.
yeah.
Oh, wow. That's I did not expect that. That threw me
Yeah.
for a loop. Wow. So in your work in covering this, what would you say people need to know, or why they should really be concerned about what's going on in Gaza?
Well, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad told us that what we see happen overseas not could be, but will be at our doorstep. So we have to pay attention to things that happen um, in other countries because they are having an effect on us one way or another. So and it's and also it's just a human thing. These are our brothers and sisters. These are Muslims that's being destroyed by other people, and you know you have to show compassion for other people because when, not if, but when things start to happen, like it's already happening in our neighborhoods, but when things heighten, when they become heightened to a whole nother level in our neighborhoods, I would think we would want people to intervene for us.
Yes, ma'am. Praise be to Allah. And before I turn it over to Brother West for his final questions, I've always wondered this. When it comes to journalism, I've heard, either on social media or on the news, people say, my source says. How do journalists go about vetting their sources and making sure their sources is correct? I've always wondered that.
We're taught at the final call that if someone just so ambiguous, my source said, well, who is this source? And what makes them a source? Were they there personally experiencing these things? Did they themselves say this? Did they themselves witness this? So you have to delve really deep into where you're getting your news from. So it's just like you in a group of friends, and one of the girls in your group, well, somebody said this, and somebody said, well, who is this somebody? You got to start naming names, and were they there? You want to get to the bottom of it, get to the root.
Yes, ma'am. Praise be to Allah. Thank you for that. I always wondered that. So I appreciate you saying that, because I always wondered if they have a source. Like, how do they know if the source is correct? And so
They're
that word
not
is
just saying that. They could just be saying that. So.
Yeah, and it's used like a trigger word, it seems like
Right.
just how they use the word anti-Semitism. I hear source a lot, so
right.
I appreciate you answering that. And Brother West has one more final questions for you. So Brother West, I'll go ahead and turn it over to you.
Yes, man. Thank you. As we begin to wind down, prepare to close out for the night, Sister Shawntell, I just want to ask you. I know you've basically been telling us all about it, your testimony, your beautiful journey throughout the Nation of Islam. But just to tie it all together, if you can tell us, what has Islam done for you?
Islam has literally brought life back into me through to live, through Master Muhammad, and to me they're one and the same. So yes, through Master Muhammad, through the guidance he gave the most honorable Elijah Muhammad with the to live, and with the honorable Louis Farrakhan in our midst today. So without them, I don't know where I would be, so I'm especially living in Chicago, and the way things can escalate really quickly in Chicago. You just you learn to think 5 times before you do anything, before you speak. So yes, sir, that's what Islam has done for me.
All praises due to Allah. That's beautiful. We definitely thank you for coming on, answering some of our questions, audience questions for sure. We do want to ask you if you have any closing comments, anything you would like to share before we go ahead and wrap up.
Thank you. Well, again, thank you all for having me on. And Savior's Day is coming up. If anyone is interested in assisting with the Ministry of Health, if you're interested on
all praises to
mohhs@gmail.com.
MOHH. Say it one more time.
It's Mosque Mariam.
Okay.
And then it's M for ministry, O for health, of health.
Okay.
Human services. MOHHS.
At Gmail.
Yes, sir.
Okay, got
and that's
it.
for the app. That's the request and application.
Yes, ma'am. And did you have any socials for us? Anywhere our audience can contact you?
You can find me on Facebook, Shawntell Muhammad.
Okay, yes, ma'am.
And it's
We'll
pretty
make sure to
just
get that up.
yeah.
Sister Shawntell Muhammad on Facebook. Praise be to Allah. So with that being said, we're going to turn it over to Sister Janine for our announcements at this time.
Thank you, Sister Shawntell, and thank you for our audience for tuning in today. I know you thoroughly enjoy it as I have, and if you like what you heard today, you're definitely invited to study with the Nation of Islam to learn the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad as taught by his chief helper, the Honorable Miss Louis Farrakhan. You can register online at www.noy.org/go study. We have weekly webcasts you can listen to every Sunday at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and you can also learn more information about Savior's Day as well. Final Call Radio, download it on all your devices. Take it with you on the go. Whether you're going to work, going to school, or just running some errands, it's better to have truth in your ear 24/7 than have some of this music today that's in your ear. So definitely just focus on your mind. And, like our sister was explaining today, health is so important, and it definitely starts in the mind. So download Final Call Radio and take it with you everywhere you go. Speaking of the Final Call, you see the cover on the screen, An Unequal Road to Peace. Support Black media. If you really want to know what's going on in the world, that's the best place to go. It's a reason why we call the Final Call the #1 newspaper in our nation, because it can get everywhere, every nook and cranny in the world. So Final Call Radio, and the Final Call newspaper. You can get the newspaper from one of our brothers on the street at one of our mosques. You can go online at finalcall.com. And don't forget to get the Final Call newspaper from our brothers and sisters that are behind bars, because as we know, they can lock them up physically, but they cannot lock up their mind. And last but not least, do you want a book that greatly empowers your child and showcases their self-worth? Then look no further than I Never Knew I'm All That, Book 1. This book affirms your child's needs, and it's written by our host, Brother Shawntell Muhammad, illustrations by Sister Amina Lay. And you can get this book on Amazon.com. So definitely get that book for your children and replace some of those foolish books they have in the home that's giving our children falsehoods. Start with this book, I Never Knew I'm All That. And last but not least, if you're in the Richmond area, every Sunday you can come and hear the Reality of God delivered by the local representative of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan there in Richmond, Virginia, Student Minister Tracy Muhammad. And in here in Baltimore, if you're here in Baltimore, you can visit us at 2801 North Duplin Street on Sundays at 11 a.m., where you can join Muhammad Mosque number 6 for the renewing of your mind delivered. You can go there to listen by our local representative for the Imam Abdul Salam Muhammad. So with that said, family, I will turn it over to Sister Lawita, who has our Eat Well, Be Well segment. So Sister Lawita, I will turn it over to you, and then we will have prayer.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Sister Janine. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, I bear witness that there is no God but Allah and that Muhammad is his messenger. Thank you again for tuning in to another amazing episode of WHID-FM. We are always excited to bring you our new segment, Eat Well, Be Well. Before I read Book 1 of How to Eat to Live by the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, I looked up the word well. Eat well, be well. The synonym to well is excellently, in a good or satisfactory way. So keep that in mind as we read Book 1, page 43 of How to Eat to Live. Page 43 is our big problem is eating too much and too often. Anyone who eats all the time has a very short life. Our greatest trouble when it comes to sickness is due to staying at the table, eating too much and too often. You have no regularity about your eating at all. The devil certainly did 100% job in turning the people against everything that God said, thou shalt not do. He has made the words say in works, I shall do. Allah said that these ugly animals, the pig, take away your beauty appearance. Live right, think right, eat right, and do right. You will not have to die to go to heaven to be like angels. You will be like them while you live. So 2 Peter chapter 1, 5-6 says, for this very reason, make every effort to add to your faith goodness, and to goodness knowledge, and to knowledge self-control, and to self-control perseverance, and to perseverance godliness. So it made me think about the words of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad when he said anyone who eats all the time has a very short life. So what the God is offering us in scripture is longevity, because he came to give us life and give it to us in abundance. I thank you so much for allowing me to share our Eat Well, Be Well segment. May Allah continue to bless all of us with the light of understanding. Assalamu alaikum. Back to you, Brother West.
Wa alaikum salam, man. Thank you. And with that, we're going to close out, family, with prayer. Before we do close out, we do want to just mention next week we'll be having Brother Harold in addition to Brother Bilal as well from Little Rock, Arkansas. So we have Brother Harold as well. So make sure you tune in for that wonderful episode right back here on WHID-FM. And with that, we're going to close out in prayer. Let's hit your prayer. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Rahman ar-Rahim. Maliki yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdina as-sirata al-mustaqim. Sirata alladhina an'amta alayhim. Ghayril maghdubi alayhim wala ddallin. Ameen. Assalamu alaikum, family.
This house is dedicated to knowledge and to the spreading of knowledge. Elijah Muhammad inspired new thought, new mind, new way of civilization among black people. But he wanted a house from which a light could be lifted up to give guidance to all who would be guided as this world begins to close down. This National Center for the re-education and retraining of the black man and woman, but for the totality of the human family of our planet. I named this mosque after the only woman that the Quran names a chapter after, the mother of Jesus, Maryam. All human beings need to be re-educated. That is the purpose of the National Center.